Have you ever wondered why someone who seems powerful, confident, and completely in control can suddenly fall apart at the exact moment they're meant to shine? That question wasn't asked by a narrator. It was asked by the host herself. Her name was Mira Halden, one of America's sharpest and most fearless interviewers. Politicians feared her chair. Mira didn't bend. She didn't flinch. She exposed lies for a living, but today something was wrong. The studio lights felt harsher than usual. Cameras hummed steadily. The audience leaned forward with anticipation. Across from her sat President Donald Trump, calm and unreadable. Mira's hands weren't calm. They trembled as she held her question cards, not a nervous twitch, but a deep, uncontrollable shiver. Trump noticed. The crew noticed. Millions watching at home noticed. Mira cleared her throat once, then again. She forced a smile that never reached her eyes and tried to begin. Her voice cracked before the first sentence formed. Whispers rippled through the audience, nerves, pressure, stage fright. Her producer panicked behind the glass. But Trump leaned forward slightly, studying her with quiet focus. Mira finally looked up and met his gaze. She froze. For the first time in her career, she wasn't afraid of the guest, the politics, or the cameras. She was afraid of something buried much deeper, something she had avoided for years. Trump placed his hands flat on the table and spoke softly. "Mira, are you all right?" Her breath caught. He wasn't just asking a question. He had seen something in her eyes, something she thought she'd hidden forever. "I'm fine," she said, though her trembling betrayed her. "You don't look fine," he replied, without the usual edge of a televised exchange. She flipped through her cards, unable to focus. Instead, she caught her reflection in the teleprompter, pale, shallow breathing, hands shaking. Her producer signaled frantically. "Start the show." "Mr. President," she began. Today, many Americans. The cards slipped from her fingers and scattered across the floor. Gasps filled the studio. A stagehand rushed forward. But Trump raised his hand. "No," he said calmly. "Let her breathe." The room obeyed. Mira's eyes glistened. She tried to hide her hands beneath the desk, but Trump had already seen them. "Look at me," he said gently. She hesitated, then did. He wasn't judging her. He wasn't irritated. He looked concerned. "These aren't the hands of someone who's afraid," he said quietly. "They're the hands of someone carrying a heavy weight." Her breath shattered. Memories surged. A hospital room, beeping machines, her mother's weak smile. 3 years ago. Rain against her windshield as she raced to the hospital. Already too late. Her mother, strong, disciplined, unbreakable, had spent her final days trembling. "Promise me," she had whispered. "Don't ever let anyone see you afraid." So, Mira built armor, no weakness, no tears, no cracks. Until today. Trump watched her with unmistakable empathy. "This isn't anxiety," he said softly. "This is grief." A tear escaped. She wiped it away quickly. "No one knows about your mother, do they?" She swallowed. "No." "Grief doesn't disappear when you bury it," Trump continued. "It waits. And it comes back when life forces you to face yourself." "Why are you saying this?" Mira whispered. "Because I've seen those same trembling hands on someone I loved," he replied. The room felt smaller, quieter. "I've never spoken about this publicly," Trump said. "But when my mother was sick, I held her hand one night. It trembled just like yours." The audience held its breath. "It wasn't weakness," he continued. "It was her body still fighting. And I learned something then. A trembling hand isn't fear, it's resistance." Mira's defenses finally gave way. "I made a promise," she whispered. "To my mother." Trump nodded. "She wasn't asking you to silence yourself. She was trying to protect you." The realization struck her like light breaking through a locked door. "And right now," he said gently, "you don't need protection. You need healing." For the first time on live television, Mira Halden wasn't the interviewer. She was a daughter who missed her mother. The cameras felt invisible. The studio felt like a living room. Millions watched in silence as something deeply human unfolded. "I spent my whole life proving I wasn't fragile," Mira said. "So do many strong people," Trump replied. "I thought grief would make me look weak." "Grief," he said, "is the price of love." Tears filled the room. Even the crew stood frozen. I wanted today to be a tough interview, Mira admitted. Instead, I'm falling apart. You're not falling apart, Trump corrected. Gently, you're opening up. He paused, then added, America has seen enough masks. Sometimes the bravest thing someone can do is tell the truth. And in that moment, he wasn't a headline, he wasn't a political figure. He was simply someone who recognized pain because he had lived through it as the studio lights softened around them. Mira realized something she hadn't anticipated. This interview was no longer just a broadcast. It was becoming a moment that would change her forever. She exhaled shakily and straightened her shoulders, trying to reclaim at least a fragment of control. I think we should continue? She said quietly, her voice fragile but sincere. Trump nodded. Whenever you're ready. She wasn't, but she tried. Mira glanced at her question cards. And for the first time in her career, the words felt hollow, scripted, irrelevant. She set them aside. Mr. President, she asked instead, her voice barely steady, how did you move forward after losing someone you loved? A ripple of surprise moved through the audience. This wasn't politics, it wasn't strategy. It was human. Trump took a slow breath. You don't ever really move on, he said. You move with it. Mira listened, fully present. People tell you to be strong, to push through, he continued. But healing starts when you stop running from the pain and allow yourself to sit with it. He paused, his voice deepening. When my father died, I kept working, stayed busy, acted like nothing had changed. But years later, I was looking through old photographs, and it hit me I had never said goodbye in my heart. Mira swallowed, feeling exposed and understood all at once. So I learned something, Trump said gently. You don't heal by forgetting, you heal by remembering softly. Her tears returned, calmer this time. What if remembering hurts? She whispered. Then it means the love was real, he replied. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. The studio felt sacred, like a space where pain was finally allowed to breathe. Mira looked at her hands again. They were still trembling. But for the first time, she didn't hide them. She understood now. This wasn't weakness. It was her heart speaking. Emotion rippled through the room. Crew members wiped their eyes. An audience member covered her mouth to stifle a sob. Everyone was remembering someone. Mira felt something she hadn't felt in years, real connection. She turned back to Trump. Why did you notice my hands? Because I've seen them before, he said, on strong people. Quiet people, people who carry more than they admit. He leaned in slightly. You came in ready to fight. But your heart came in asking to be understood. Her breath caught. You've been holding everything together for so long, he continued, but your body finally asked for help. A small sob escaped her. She covered her face and Trump didn't rush her. He didn't interrupt. This wasn't television anymore. It was healing. When she looked up, eyes red but resolved, she whispered, I don't want to hide anymore. The room exhaled. That, Trump said softly, is the bravest thing you've said today. Mira inhaled deeply. There's something I've never told anyone. The studio leaned in. My mother wasn't just my mom, she said. She was my teacher, my guide, my best friend. Her voice trembled but held. She hid her illness because she didn't want to burden anyone. And on her last day, her hands shook just like mine. Tears slid down her cheeks. She made me promise I'd never be afraid. I thought she meant I shouldn't show pain. Trump's gaze softened. She meant don't let fear stop you. Mira nodded. I turned myself into stone and called it strength. She looked at her hands again, and today the stone shattered. You're not breaking, Trump said. You're opening. And your mother, he added gently, would be proud not because you stayed strong, but because you finally let yourself feel. Then, unexpectedly, Trump stood. Gasps filled the room. He walked around the table and sat beside her, not across from her, but next to her. You don't have to do this alone, he said quietly. I care about you being okay. He placed his hand over hers, not as a gesture for cameras, but as a human one. If your mother taught you strength, he said softly, then let me remind you strength sometimes looks like this. Mira's shaking stopped. Thank you, she whispered. No, he replied. Thank you for letting your heart speak. Gentle applause filled the studio. Later, during a break, Mira's phone buzzed. Her sister's voice trembled through. The line, "I'm watching you," she said. Mom would be proud. Mira closed her eyes and let the truth settle. The pain didn't break her. It steadied her. When the cameras returned, Trump said quietly, "People think strength is loud. But real strength is choosing honesty over armor." Mira nodded, smiling softly. She wasn't breaking, she was becoming.